20 minutes of silence, then the waitress revealed an incredible truth that touches every heart. In a small diner tucked away in a Rust Belt town, on a quiet evening, the familiar hum of chatter was suddenly replaced by a soft, thick silence. It was 7 p.m., and the clinking of plates and sizzling of bacon had given way to an atmosphere heavy with unspoken struggles. The emptiness felt almost palpable. It wasn't just another night. Tonight felt different. Maya, a determined 32-year-old waitress, moved through the room with a blend of grace and exhaustion. Her hair pulled back, she wore the marks of a single mother juggling 2 kids, shifting between serving tables and her dreams of a better future. She took pride in her work at the diner, an establishment that once buzzed with laughter and warmth, but had now turned into a stage for the community's desperate fight for survival. Just as she started wiping down tables, a group of veterans unexpectedly entered. Their weathered faces spoke of valor and hardship. A shiver raced through Maya, a mix of admiration and empathy washed over her. They had fought battles of their own, while she remained entrenched in a daily struggle for her family to survive. Then, without warning, the sobs of a young boy nearby pierced the silence. Maya turned to see him, tears streaming down his cheeks. He was hunched over his table, crushed under the weight of loss. She approached him with tender care. "What's wrong, sweetie?" "My dad, he's gone," he cried between sobs, revealing that his father, a veteran, had been killed in service. Maya's heart sank. The boy's grief resonated throughout the diner, a shared wound that echoed through the air. As she consoled him, others leaned in. The veteran's eyes glimmered with sorrow, tales of their own losses emerging like threads weaving together. Familiar strangers shared their stories of sacrifice, struggles that felt intertwined, vibrant dreams dimmed by the weight of reality. Maya felt a swell of courage. She stepped forward, her voice trembling as she recounted her own heart-wrenching story of her late father, a proud veteran who had taught her the importance of integrity and hard work. As the words slipped from her lips, the room ignited with electric connection. The veterans listened closely, a silent appreciation radiating between them. They began to share how her father's legacy had inspired their own journeys. Before long, the emotional tide had built up to a cresting wave. The diners exchanged glances, vulnerable and raw, united by a tapestry of shared grief and resilience. It was like a healing balm had been spread across the room, wrapping everyone in a comforting embrace. But just as hope flickered into the night air, a veteran spoke up, his voice heavy with revelation. "Maya, your father was more than you know." Patrons leaned closer, breath held tight as a deep, unspoken truth hung on the edge of silence. Would it tear them apart or deepen their bond? Maya stood at the crossroads of understanding, a place where her father's shadow loomed large. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Maya's heart raced as the emotions swirled in the room. All eyes were on her now, waiting to see how this shocking truth might unfold. Would it illuminate her father in light or shadow? The diner, once an echo of hardship, pulsed with potential transformation, leaving everyone wondering, was healing truly possible amidst the intertwining histories? Maya's breath caught in her throat. She could see the weight of curiosity and anticipation etched on the faces around her. In that moment, she felt small yet impossibly large, standing on the brink of a revelation that had the power to shift everything she had ever known. "Your father," the veteran began again, the tremor in his voice serving to heighten the mood in the diner. "He saved lives, you know, not just in battle but here at home too. After we returned, he always reached out, making sure we were taken care of. He was a hero." Maya's heart pounded, a cocktail of pride and pain bubbling within her. Could it be true? Her father, once a storyteller on the porch, had left behind a legacy that stretched far beyond their small home? She searched the faces around her. The veterans nodded, some with tears in their eyes, and others with solemn resolve. Each one held a piece of a puzzle she hadn't realized was a part of her own life. Every Thanksgiving, he'd cook meals for us when we didn't have a place to go. A voice spoke from the back. It belonged to a woman with silver hair and kind eyes. We were just freshly returned from the war, and your father wanted us to know we weren't alone. A rush of memories flooded Maya's mind, her father in the kitchen, laughter mingling with the smells of turkey and pumpkin pie. It was true. He always insisted on inviting anyone who might be alone. She felt a warmth spread through her, like a gentle hug from his memory. Your father showed us the true meaning of brotherhood, another veteran added, his own voice thick with emotion. He believed that we needed to look after one another long after the fight was over. Maya felt tears stinging her eyes. She had often wondered if her father's legacy would fade, but this moment illuminated it brighter than she had ever imagined. It was never just about military accolades or medals. It was about compassion, community, and the deep bonds formed in the wake of shared struggles. The boy, who had been quietly crying for his father, looked up at Maya with wide eyes. "Your dad was a hero?" he asked, as if the remnants of sorrow were slowly being replaced by a flickering hope. Something within Maya stirred. "Yes, he was, and he taught me that we can all be heroes in our own way," she said, voice steadying. "It doesn't just mean fighting in wars. It means standing up for those in need and sharing love." A smile crept across the boy's face, a glimmer of light in his moment of darkness. Maya turned back to the veterans. "What about you? What can we do now, together?" Her question filled the air, energy rippling through the room. They exchanged glances, and slowly, the weight of shared purpose replaced the tension. It was clear. Together, they could honor the past and build something meaningful for the future. As ideas began to flow, community dinners, outreach programs, and events to remember those who served, Maya felt the diner shift, the quiet evening transforming into a hub of hope and connection. Laughter flared, old memories woven with new intentions, and for the first time in a while, the diner felt alive. But just as excitement mounted, a voice broke through, one of the veterans looking hesitant. "Maya, there is something else we need to tell you, something about your father that may change everything." The room fell again into a hush, the warmth of connection still buzzing in the background, but overshadowed now by intrigue and uncertainty. Maya's heart raced once more, unsure of what this new layer of truth might bring. Would it leave her with more questions than answers? The revelations lay just out of reach, waiting to unfold, but in this moment of quiet anticipation, she knew one thing for sure. The past and present were about to collide with a force she never expected. What truths lingered in the shadows, and how would they reshape her understanding? Maya held her breath, the stillness in the diner wrapping around her like a thick blanket. Those words hung in the air, buzzing with an untold story, vibrating against her very being. The faces of the veterans, once full of camaraderie, now bore the weight of fear and uncertainty. What could possibly change everything she thought she knew? The veteran's gaze drifted downward, and his hands trembled slightly. "There is a reason your father went above and beyond for us, Maya. It's not just kindness. It was personal." Maya felt a chill creep up her spine. "What do you mean?" Her voice was a soft whisper, but it cut through the thick tension like a knife. The woman with silver hair, Mrs. Jennings, leaned forward. "Your father, he lost his brother in the war, the one he never spoke of to anyone. It was a loss he carried deep inside." Maya's heart sank. She had always known that her father's experiences had shaped him, but she never realized how profound that shadow of grief loomed over him. "I didn't know he had a brother." The silence that followed felt heavy, like the surge before a storm. "None of us did," one veteran replied, his voice low. "He hid it so well. But every Thanksgiving, when he was feeding others, we knew he was longing for family, not just his, but all of ours. He taught us to fill that void for each other. He believed that love could heal wounds that words alone could not." Maya's chest tightened as she fought back tears. The realization washed over her like a wave, fierce and relentless. Her father had turned his pain into a mission, a way to ensure no one felt alone, particularly those who were haunted by loss like he was. Your father was our strength, another veteran added quietly. It's hard to lose a brother, more so when he was a soldier like us. We owe him far more than we can ever repay. Maya felt the intensity of responsibility pulse through her. Her father had shown her the power of compassion. Yet here was the deeper truth of sacrifice woven into that lesson. The connection between her father's giving spirit and the grief he carried suddenly seemed clearer, as if a fogged window was wiped clean. Is that why you all came here tonight? Maya asked, voice trembling. To honor him? Not just honor, the first veteran said. To keep that spirit alive. It's more than just remembering your father. It's about building what he started, a community that knows each other and helps each other, long after the battles are fought. Maya nodded, her resolve strengthening. Then we need to tell his story. We need to honor the courage it took for him to open his heart. We'll do that together. A chorus of agreement surged among the veterans, but each face reflected a mix of sorrow and hope. For Maya, it felt like she had stepped onto a new path, a road lit by her father's legacy and the weight of the truths now shared. But as they discussed the ways to gather everyone, the door swung open, and a figure stood silhouetted against the light. The chatter faltered, all eyes drawn to the mysterious visitor. Anxiety flooded the room again. Who could this be, and what did they have to do with her father? Maya's heart raced. She felt an instinctive pull toward this newcomer, as if they were somehow connected to the tapestry of her past. What if this person held yet another piece of her father's story, one that could change everything once more? The newcomer stepped forward, and the hush echoed, waiting to break. What awaited her now? The figure stepped into the diner's warm light, revealing a silhouette that was both familiar and foreign. Maya squinted, trying to make out the features. It was a woman, her face lined with years of worry and strength. Dark hair framed a face that was tired but resolute. Could this be someone who had known her father? The waitress rushed over, wide-eyed and glancing between the newcomer and the startled patrons. "Can I get you anything?" she asked, her voice breaking the tension. But the woman didn't seem to notice. Her gaze was locked onto Maya, as if she were a lighthouse in a storm. "You must be Maya," she said, her voice trembling, charged with emotion. Maya took a step back, her heart thundering in her chest. "Yes. Who are you?" "I'm Lily," the woman replied, her breath hitching. "Your father's sister." Gasps swept through the diner. Maya's mind raced. Her father had a sister? All those years spent looking for pieces of his past. And here stood one finally revealing the family she didn't even know she had. Confusion battled with a deep yearning to understand. "But I thought my father didn't have any surviving family," she said, her voice a whisper, barely holding her composure. Lily took a cautious step closer, her eyes glistening. "He tried to forget, to put it all behind him. After the war, the pain was too much to bear. To lose his brother and then isolate himself from the rest of us. I wish it hadn't come to this." Maya felt the walls closing in. But why now? Why after all this time? Lily glanced at the veterans gathered around, their faces filled with understanding and compassion. "When I heard about the charity you're starting in his honor, I knew I had to come. I needed to let you know how much he loved you, but also to let you know about his brother, my son, Michael." The air felt electric. All the pieces started to fit together. Yet there were so many questions swirling in Maya's mind. "You mean, my uncle was?" "Yes," Lily breathed, a single tear rolling down her cheek. "He was one of the brave ones, just like your father, and his loss changed everything for our family. I was left with nothing but echoes of memories. It drove your father to be the man he was, the one who helped everyone else because he felt he had failed his own." Maya's heart shattered and healed all at once. She could feel the weight of both grief and love for the men who fought in the war. "I had no idea," she murmured, feeling the intensity of the moment. The stories she heard before now gained vivid, vibrant realities. "Your father was hurt, Maya," Lily continued, "and he never wanted anyone to carry that burden again. He transformed his pain into purpose. So many people depended on him. You have to know that. Maya felt a flood of love for the father she thought she understood. Each kindness he extended had roots deeper than she ever imagined. I want to honor that, Maya stated firmly. I want to keep his legacy alive for all of us. Lily's face lit up with hope. Together we can do that. But we also need to confront those scars. There are truths about your father's past we have to share, his struggles, his losses. It's crucial for healing. Before Maya could respond, a veteran stood up, a look of determination in his eyes. Then we do it together. All of us. The diner buzzed with affirmations, but an inner voice hummed louder within Maya. She had been pulled into a whirlwind of revelations. Yet, the gravity of Lily's words lingered. Confronting the past might reveal more than just her father's struggles. Maya took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of courage and fear. What else is there? She asked, her voice steady but soft. Lily's expression grew serious. There are stories we've buried deep, Maya. About your father, his brother, and secrets that could change everything you thought you knew. And as the weight of those words settled in the room, Maya felt that she was standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. What truths lay waiting beneath the surface? Maya could feel all eyes on her, a weight of expectation that pressed against her chest. The diner fell into an uneasy silence, like the calm before a storm. The murmurs of patrons faded into the background as she searched for the right words. What kind of secrets? She finally managed to ask, her voice a mere whisper. Lily's eyes softened, filled with a mixture of regret and resolve. When Michael died, it wasn't just loss. It was about betrayal, lies, things your father never wanted you to know. A shiver ran through Maya. Betrayal? Lies? Her heart raced, thrumming against her ribs. Nothing could prepare her for the weight of familial history. Would knowing the truth set her free or bury her deeper in confusion and sorrow? Just then, the waitress returned, her notepad clutched tightly in her hands. Is everything all right? She asked, unsure if she should intrude. Maya shook her head absently, too lost in thought. Just a family matter. She could see the concern etched on the waitress's face, the way she hesitated, almost as if she, too, wanted to share a secret. Sometimes family matters can hit harder than a freight train, the waitress said, and her voice laced with empathy caught Maya's attention. But sharing them can heal. Maya looked up, surprised, as the waitress's gaze lingered on her, an understanding passing between them. It was as if the very air in the room had shifted. I'm sorry, Maya finally said, her heart still racing but feeling somehow lighter. It's just a lot to take in. The waitress nodded, her shoulders relaxing. If you need to talk, I'll be here. She paused, glancing back at Lily. And you seem to know about these things too. Lily nodded, a grim smile forming on her lips. It's hard, but you're not alone in this. We will face it together. The honesty in Lily's voice struck a chord deep within Maya. What if I'm not ready? She looked at each person around the diner, including the veterans who had both seen too much and endured too many losses. They, too, understood the weight of past memories. You don't have to be ready, Lily replied gently. You just need to be willing. She shifted closer, her eyes never leaving Maya's. Finding the truth is sometimes the only way to honor what has been lost. Maya inhaled deeply, feeling the tension in her lungs. I'm willing, she murmured, unsure of what that willingness would cost her. Just then, she heard a voice from the back of the diner, a familiar timbre that froze her in place. Maya? Is that you? She turned slowly, her heart caught in a vice. It was Daniel, the one person she never expected to see. What are you doing here? Panic flooded her as he approached. Concern etched across his face. I came looking for you, he said, urgency in his voice. You didn't answer my calls. Maya, is everything okay? Daniel's eyes darted to Lily, searching for answers. Maya felt exposed, her revelations mingling in the air, heavy with expectation. She looked at Daniel, whose expression reflected a mix of worry and support. Could she let him in on this tumultuous moment? Before she could speak, Lily stepped forward. We're discussing family truths. It's important and you should hear it too. The diner's atmosphere thickened with the return of urgency. New revelations were brewing, and answers were formidable yet essential. Maya hesitated, swallowed hard, and finally asked the question that had been gnawing at her since Lily first arrived. What if facing the truth changes everything? One shared glance between her, Daniel, and Lily flickered with fear and determination. And as the conversation swirled, Maya felt a strange sense of healing taking root amidst the uncertainty. But just then, the diner's door swung open again, and a shadow stepped in that made everyone freeze. The air shifted once more, and dread gripped Maya's heart. Who else had arrived? What else would be revealed? The door creaked ominously as a tall figure stepped into the diner, blocking the sunlight with a dark silhouette. All eyes turned, and an uneasy silence settled over the room, punctuated only by the soft hum of the neon sign above. Maya's stomach twisted. She recognized the shadows of that tall frame. It was her mother. Lila. The name slipped from Maya's lips, a whisper barely audible. Her mother hadn't been around much since Michael's passing. Guilt and bitterness surfaced in her heart, coiling tightly. Maya, Lila said, her voice strained but firm. She moved deeper into the diner, her eyes darting from Maya to Daniel and then to Lily. What's going on here? Maya didn't answer. Instead, she exchanged glances with Lily and Daniel, an unvoiced communication filled with uncertainty. Lila knew something was off, but how could Maya possibly explain the secrets that lurked in the shadows of their past? Mom, we were just trying to talk about some things. Maya finally managed, her voice trembling. Was this the right moment? Was she ready to dig deep into painful memories while her mother stood there? What things? Lila pressed, arms crossed defensively. Maya needs to know about Michael, Lily replied, surprising everyone with her straightforwardness. About everything that happened. Maya's heart raced, fear dancing along her spine. She felt Daniel's hand brush against hers, a quiet reassurance. Lila's expression hardened, eyes narrowing in confusion and anger. Stop, she said, her voice growing tense. What do you mean everything? Why would you bring this up now? We need to talk about the truth, Lily insisted, her resolve unwavering. Maya deserves to hear it. We all do. Lila opened her mouth as if to protest, but the waitress approached them, her face pale yet steady. There was something important about her, the kind of quiet strength that radiated when there was truth to be told. Excuse me, she said, her voice firm but gentle. Can I say something? The tension shifted slightly as everyone turned toward her. Go ahead, Daniel encouraged, looking from the waitress to Maya and back again. I don't know any of you personally, but I see pain in your eyes, she said, gazing softly at Maya. Sometimes we have to let those we love in, even when it feels impossible. Secrets have a way of weighing heavy on the heart, don't they? Maya nodded, her heart swelling with empathy. She'd never seen the waitress like this before, wisdom glowing in her eyes. It's true, she whispered, but how do I begin? The waitress took a deep breath, as if mustering courage. You don't have to be alone in this. You have each other, even when it feels unbearable. Lila shifted uncomfortably, eyes flicking between the waitress and Maya. What do you know about our family? She demanded, a mixture of defensiveness and dread in her voice. I don't know specifics, but I know how secrets can bind you, break you, and how powerful it is to let them go at last. The waitress's gaze flickered toward the door, as if sensing the ghosts of the past lingering there. Maya felt the warmth of Daniel's hand enclosing hers. Mom, she said, a sense of urgency flooding her. What if this is a chance for us all to be free from the past? Lila's eyes softened momentarily, the weight of her daughter's appeal wrapping around them like an invisible thread of hope. But just then, a hush fell over the diner. The atmosphere shifted again, and the door swung open once more, this time revealing a face that made Maya's heart skip, a familiar figure from the past, one she never expected to see again. Can I join you? The newcomer asked, stepping forward with a smile that could cut right through the tension. Who was this person and what did they bring with them? What could happen next? Maya's breath caught as she recognized the figure stepping inside the diner. It was Jake, her childhood friend, the one she'd lost touch with after the accident. His dark hair fell over his forehead, and those familiar green eyes had a warmth that felt like home. Even in this moment filled with uncertainty, the diner was frozen. She couldn't decide if joy or dread was washing over her. Jake had been a lifeline back then, someone who could make her smile even through the darkest days. Yet seeing him now brought back all the memories she'd tucked away. Hey, he said, his voice wavering slightly, as if he felt the weight of the unspoken words surrounding them. I saw you in here. Thought I'd come say hi. Then, he hesitated, glancing at Lila, and added, is everything okay? Maya's heart raced. The storm of emotions inside her churned resolve mingled with nostalgia. It wasn't just about her mother or the past. Jake's appearance felt like a reckoning. Maya? Lila pierced the atmosphere with her voice, snapping her daughter from her reverie. What's going on? Who is this? It's Jake. Maya stammered, heart pounding. He was my friend. Was? Lila echoed, an edge to her tone, as if the past still had a stranglehold on their lives. Let us not dig into that now. Can I sit? Jake interjected, his eyes soft with concern, yet carrying an unexpected weight of urgency. Sure, Maya murmured, sensing the tension deepen. Daniel squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her in the whirlwind of emotions as Jake slid into the booth opposite them. So, Jake began, glancing from Maya to Daniel and Lily. What's going on? You all look like you've seen a ghost. It's complicated, Maya said, feeling a volatile mix of feelings surface again. She turned to Lila, who appeared torn. Mom, maybe Jake's right. We need to talk. All of us. Lila met Jake's steady gaze, then nodded, moving to sit down as if the weight of her defiance was slipping. Outside the bright jumble of chatter and clanking plates, this corner of the diner felt entirely removed from the rest of the world. Jake shifted slightly. I know this isn't easy, but truth is important, right? Especially with everything that's happened. Maya could see Lila's walls start to crumble, though they didn't fall completely. Truth about what, Jake? You don't know the half of our story. You're right, he replied, his voice steady. I wasn't there. But I still remember the times we spent together and the last time I saw you. He paused, his features tightening as the shadows of the past swirled among them. I remember how it felt when you lost your brother. Maya closed her eyes, feeling the sharp pang of grief slice through her. Everyone in the diner faded, leaving her back in that desolate moment when everything changed, the raw anguish that lingered like a ghost at the edges of her heart. Jake, she started, her throat tight. I never thought you'd bring that up. I had to, Maya, he replied softly. It's time to address what happened, what really happened, and how we can heal from it. Before Maya could respond, the waitress reappeared, another mask of serenity on her face. Excuse me again, but I just want to share something if you're open to it. Everyone's gaze turned toward her once more, the weight of her presence heavy with expectation. Maya, I can feel the heart of your pain, the waitress said quietly. Sometimes, it takes facing our truths to find the light again. Every one of us has our own burdens. As she spoke, Maya felt a flicker of understanding flicker inside her. But it was Jake's presence, the reminder of their shared past, that grounded her. Standing at the crossroads of revelation and fear, Maya realized that perhaps the time had come to truly confront the tangled web of secrets around Michael's death. But just when she thought the atmosphere couldn't tighten any further, the diner door swung open again, this time letting in a figure that made Maya's skin prickle with mixed emotions. Could this be the catalyst for everything she was about to uncover? Is this where the real conversation is happening? The newcomer called out with an unexpected cheerfulness. Who was this new arrival? And what part would they play in revealing the depths of Maya's struggle? The diner buzzed with potential. Would they finally break free of their silence? Maya's breath quickened as she turned to see the newcomer. A tall figure stepped into the diner, wearing a bright red jacket that contrasted sharply with the muted colors of the space. He flashed a smile that seemed entirely out of place in the tension-laden room. Sorry to interrupt, he chirped, striding over with an air of confidence. But my friends and I heard you all deep in thought and thought we should jump in. Max, what's the scoop? Jake regarded Max with a mixture of confusion and concern. We're having a personal conversation here, he said, his tone slightly protective. Max's smile didn't waver. Instead, he looked around, taking in the anxious faces before him. Personal, huh? Well, that sounds intriguing. He plopped himself onto the edge of their booth, clearly unfazed. The waitress shot him a warning glance, but Max just shrugged it off. Come on, lighten up. You guys need to share this burden instead of keeping it bottled up. I've been there. Maya felt her irritation simmer as she processed his words. And what do you know about burdens? She snapped, the ache in her chest flaring up. Max's demeanor shifted slightly. He leaned closer, seriousness replacing his previous cheer. More than you might think, Maya. I lost someone too. But instead of hiding from the truth, I found it helped to share. It's a healing process. Lila's eyes widened at his bluntness. You don't know anything about us, she said, her voice laced with an edge of defensiveness. Maybe not, Max replied with a tilt of his head. But I can see it in your eyes. The heaviness you're all carrying. It's like a weight pressing down on each of you. Maya's heart raced. There was something about Max. He spoke with a directness that was jarring yet oddly comforting. In her mind, the echoes of Jake and the waitress mingled and sparked a flicker of curiosity. Why don't you tell me what's going on? Max prompted, his bright eyes shifting between them. You'd be surprised at how freeing it can be. Jake took a breath, clearly wrestling with his own desire to unearth the past that had crushed them all. The urge to protect Maya mixed with a deep yearning to support her. Perhaps it's time to put the ghosts to rest. Maya, he urged gently. We can't keep running from what happened. Daniel squeezed her hand again, silently urging a response. The air felt stagnant, charged with anticipation and unresolved pain. Maya started, voice trembling. You really think that would help? Max nodded vigorously. Absolutely. Trust me, facing it is the first step to healing. And I know this isn't easy, but I would never have figured things out if I hadn't taken that leap. Maya's throat tightened, and she weighed his words. Could it really be so simple? Could just talking change everything? Outside, the pale light of the setting sun filtered through the diner windows, throwing warm colors across the table. The vibrant scene felt in stark contrast to the heaviness wrapping around their hearts. Just tell us what's on your mind, Maya, Jake said softly, creating a safe space in the verses of silence that seemed to stretch on forever. Maya looked from Jake to Lila, to Daniel and then back at Max. The weight of the moment loomed as she hesitated, the truth swirling just beneath the surface. But before she could find the words, the waitress stepped forward, breaking the silence again. Maybe I can step in here, she began softly, her expression serious. I have something important to share. Something you all deserve to know. Maya's heart raced. Was this what they all needed? The answer to the questions that haunted her. What could the waitress possibly reveal that would change everything they thought they knew? The waitress looked around the table, her eyes glistening with something deep concern, empathy, wisdom. It felt like the world had momentarily quieted, each heart beating as one in the charged atmosphere. Maya felt trapped between fear and a desperate need for answers. I've seen you all come in here. Days after days, she began slowly, her voice almost a whisper. And I can't help but feel that you're carrying something heavy. I want to share a story, a true one that might help you. Maya studied the waitress, whose name she suddenly realized she didn't even know. There was something genuine about her. Maybe it was her kindness, or perhaps a hint of shared experience poking through. Go on, Lila urged, her voice barely above a murmur but tinged with curiosity. The waitress took a slow breath, as if gathering courage. A few years back, I lost my brother. It was sudden. One moment we were planning everything. The next he was gone. I felt lost, like a ship without a sail. The words struck Maya like a hammer. She exchanged glances with Jake, who stiffened at the mention of loss. Daniel's grip on her hand tightened, his support tangible. Everyone in town had something to say about it. The waitress continued, her voice gathering strength. But no one knew the whole truth. I held on to that secret, convinced it was just too painful to share. Until what? Max interjected, leaning forward, intrigued. Until I realized that pain doesn't go away just because you bury it. The waitress paused, allowing her words to settle. My brother was struggling with things I hadn't known. I found out later that he was battling demons in silence, and I wished I could have done something. Anything. Maya felt the weight of her own truth looming at the edge of her consciousness. She wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all, how life could take in such an unpredictable way. An ache settled deeply in her chest. The waitress' honesty and bravery threatened to unravel her carefully held composure. It taught me, the waitress continued softly, that the shadows don't just exist in our lives, but in the lives of those we love. When I finally started to talk about it, I felt lighter. I could let them go. The words hung in the air like a beacon. There it was, an invitation. Maya felt her heart beckoning her to take down her own walls. I didn't want to talk about it before, Maya murmured, squeezing Daniel's hand back, feeling solidarity in their shared pain. Talking about my brother, it makes all the hurt feel fresh. The waitress nodded, her expressions filled with understanding. It will be painful, yes, but you need to know that you're not alone in this. Sharing the burden with others can make the weight feel more bearable, like a shared grief rather than an isolated one. Jake leaned back slightly, eyes focused on Maya. He spoke gently, it's okay to bring those memories back to the surface. We're here for you no matter how hard it is. Max chimed in, there's strength in vulnerability, Maya. You don't have to face this alone. The floodgates felt as if they were about to burst. The air was heavy with anticipation, but there was also hope, a small, flickering light in the darkness. Taking a deep breath, Maya stood on the edge of revelation. The diner was filled with a quiet intensity as she fought against her fears. Okay, she said, voice barely above a whisper. I'll try. But before she could continue, an unexpected sound shattered the moment, a loud crash from outside, pulling away their focus. The diner's atmosphere shifted suddenly from introspection to chaos. What now? Lila snapped, looking toward the noise. Everyone turned to see a car had flipped on its side, glass and metal mingling in a jarring scene outside. Maya's heart raced anew, beating loudly as if rallying against the impending distraction. What's happening? She cried out, as worry rushed through her veins, with emotions still raw and the weight of the upcoming revelation pressed against her chest. Maya wondered if she would ever get the chance to finally speak her truth. Maya rushed to the window, heart pounding. Outside, a crowd began to gather around the wreck. A car flipped, the driver trapped inside. Fear clawed at her gut, the chaos pulling her back from the brink of her own revelations. Is anyone hurt? She shouted, desperation climbing in her voice. So many lives intertwined at this moment, yet the sound of sirens pierced the air like a warning. Stay back, shouted a voice from the crowd. A paramedic dashed forward, unhesitant, ready to save a life. Maya turned towards her friends Daniel, Jake, and Lily. They shared a look that said it all. The weight of potential loss was heavy in the air. The pain they'd been digging through seemed trivial against the backdrop of emergencies. Yet, witnessing that scene ignited a spark in her heart. Maybe we need to do something, Maya said firmly, her exhaustion momentarily replaced with fierce determination. What do you mean? Jake asked, glancing at her with concern. I'm talking about everyone inside this diner. We can't stay silent any longer. We have to help them like my father helped the veterans. Daniel nodded, understanding igniting in his eyes. You're right. Let us do something. Maya turned to the waitress, whose calm presence had steadied them all. Can you help us? How can we assist? The waitress blinked in surprise, then nodded with resolve. We can set up a space here. Get water, blankets, help where we can. Together, they sprang into action. Maya moved with purpose, organizing the diners, calling them into the mission. Each face reflected a deeper purpose. They weren't just patrons anymore. They were a community coming together. As they worked, time seemed to blur. The atmosphere shifted from heavy silence to vibrant collaboration. The diner that had felt like a tomb turned into a sanctuary, filled with murmurs of support and urgency. The roar of sirens faded into the background as they prepared the space. Maya felt the energy building, something transformative taking place. This was about more than just saving a life. It was about giving that moment the tribute it deserved. Then, she saw the boy from earlier, his eyes wide, fear echoing the silence of the room. "Is my dad okay?" he asked, so small and vulnerable. Maya knelt beside him, heart cracking with empathy. "We're going to do everything we can to help him. Your dad is strong, and we're all here together." The boy nodded, yet his worry hung heavy. In that moment, she remembered the stories shared just a while ago, the legacy of her father, the lessons of courage and compassion. She turned to the veterans, their faces filled with understanding. They got it. They had seen the worst and still showed up for one another. "Tell him about your battles," she encouraged, "how we fight and love for each other." They rallied around the boy, veterans sharing tales of their own struggles, their own losses, weaving a tapestry of heroism that brought his worry into the light. It was cathartic for everyone, sharing battles fought on distant shores through laughter and tears. And as they spoke, something clicked deep within Maya. She finally felt the rush of understanding, the power of facing pain together. Their words reverberated back to the night she almost forgot about her own father's legacy. It was exactly what he would have done. Minutes later, the ambulance arrived, and the crowd parted as if parting the sea. Paramedics rushed in and swiftly tended to the driver, each action purposeful and focused. As Maya stepped back, her breath came in slow, steady waves. It dawned on her she hadn't avoided the truth. She was embodying it. Her father's spirit pulsed around them, and suddenly, it all made sense. They weren't just carrying burdens. They were sharing burdens. And when pain was shared, it transformed into hope as the commotion outside began to settle. The patrons cheered, voices rising together, clapping for the brave souls who took action. The boyish eyes sparkled now, hope flickering like a new flame. "Thank you," he whispered, a world of gratitude in his young gaze. Maya wiped her tears, realizing there was more to uncover, more about her past waiting to be faced. But she knew one thing for sure. She wouldn't have to do it alone any longer. Family wasn't just about blood, it was about those who wielded courage in their hearts, ready to connect and heal. Daniel took her hand, squeezing it tight, and Maya looked at him, then at Jake, and finally at Lily. The diner, full of life and shared struggles, pulsed with possibility. They could still talk. They could still heal together. "I'm ready," she stated softly but with conviction. "I want to share everything, no secrets left. We'll honor Dad and Michael. We'll build the community he started." Everyone nodded, determination lighting their eyes. The truth she'd been afraid to face was now a source of strength. Hours later, the diner still buzzed, the weight of the shift palpable. They were just beginning to tell their stories, the interwoven threads of their pasts revealing a tapestry of resilience that was too beautiful to ignore. Maya felt lighter, stronger, almost euphoric. The journey ahead would not be easy, but she knew they would face it together like her father had always envisioned. The heart of hope radiated within them all, ready to spread wide across the community. And as they readied to share their truths, she couldn't shake the feeling that this moment, born from darkness and uncertainty, had shifted them all into the light. You need to subscribe now to witness the unfolding of these powerful stories. This is the moment to show your support and be a part of this journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the inspiration flowing. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voices matter? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us uplift together and create a ripple of hope.